Alright guys, and gals, right? This self-defense style is for everybody. So let's talk about the body as a weapon. So starting from, once again, we're going to go from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. I don't know if you guys saw the body as a target, but that's really the introductory video, so I recommend that you watch that first. So starting from the top of the head, right? This area right here, right, is kind of hard. And if you watch Raging Bull, I think it's Dennehy and De Niro, when they fight, Dennehy keeps hitting De Niro's fist with his head here, and actually we'll talk about the fist as a weapon later on, but this is a big solid bone. It can be pretty damaging. I don't really like to use that as a weapon that much, because when you're using this as a weapon, your brain is right behind there, and if they're putting impact into your skull, your brain's going to be going back due to inertia, and it's going to travel back to the back of your head, and it's going to ricochet off the back of your skull. That's not good. So I try to avoid using the skull as a weapon whenever possible. But actually, that sets up into my next body as a weapon story. So I'm not recommending this at all. But I used to live upstate in a place called Buffalo, and I used to live. Yeah, I was living there for a while because I was going to school there. And I worked at this gas station, and there was a guy who came by on a motorcycle, and the guy was nuts because I also was boxing up there too. But so I had already had some boxing experience at that time. So the guy came through, and the thing is that up in Buffalo, there's these Indian reservations, upstate New York, where people fight illegally in cage matches. It's not really illegal because there's no federal laws on Indian property, so they can do whatever they want, Native American property. So they are engaging in cage fights, and these people are for real, for real. A lot of people have broken fists because they've broken their fists on someone's head. That's real. So the thing is that this sick character, right? He was the nicest guy, coolest guy ever. So I have nothing. There's a lot of people in martial arts that are just straight psycho. I've had the pleasure, or not so much pleasure, but they're interesting people. There's no doubt about it. But I run into them, and I'll have other stories about them later. So anyways, but he was completely crazy, right? So the thing is that he would do a lot of this type of exercise. He would go like this. He'd work on this jaw right here. So you see this fist right here, right? When I take it to the side, right? You're really hitting with your knuckles. But over here, your fingers are kind of like a little bit more. This is like a point of weakness in the fist right here, right? So this psychopath, a lot of times, like in boxing, right, your hands are right here, so you're hitting naturally right towards the jawline. You see how it lines up right there, right? My hands are right by the jaw, so a straight line will be straight to the guy's jaw. So when the fist comes in right here, right, he'll attack your fist right there and break it. So you could, and that's not really ideal because it's called a knockout zone, but any part of your body can be trained and conditioned as a weapon. Even your chin, if you're crazy. I'm not that crazy. I don't train to that level. Some people do. You don't want to run into these people. These people are out there. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you heard me say this and you think that's just like the coolest thing ever, and you're going to start doing it, and you're going to actually get it down. Props to you. I'm not going to do that, but that's just the story and an example of how any part of your body can be a weapon. Even something that you would never ever expect. Okay, but I'm gonna just cover what I think are more high yield and just safer. Are you crazy? Attacking people's fists are really hard. This guy though, he was for real with it. I was a very efficient boxer, and the thing is that, okay, so I'll show you right now. When I punch, right? Let me angle this up a little bit. Okay. If you see me keep looking over here, it's because I have a monitor over there where I can train. So actually, yeah. Okay, so the thing is that when I'm punching, right, you don't see my head move like this or any of this kind of other motion, right? Like, right, or things like that. Right? That's like not very efficient, right? Everything, if I wanted to, can be right straight in, right? Right? Nothing is moving, right? This elbow, nothing's moving except for my hand straight in and out, right? So it's really efficient. Like all my body force is driving straight into that target. So that's what really makes me a efficient puncher. I'm not going to be all modest about it. I'm pretty good. I was really good at my school. Anyways, so yeah. The thing is that like my punch was pretty good, and he's like, yeah, hit me right here, hit me right here. So I liked the guy, but so at first I tapped him lightly, and I started to drive it up a little bit, and this guy was taking it, so he was for real with it. I'm not just, he wasn't just talking, he's like, yo, try me out, and I was like, okay, and I tried him out, and damn, he really did it. All right, so enough about that story. Okay, so let's go on down to covering the elbows, right? So the elbows, as you may know, over here, right? You can probably feel it for yourself, right? If you have your bump right here, right underneath there, right? There's another bump right over here. Right between there, you have like your funny bone right over there. So the when you're going for this particular, if you leave it open and you elbow them, you can actually hit that, and you can actually have your whole arm go numb, and it really doesn't feel good. So it's more protected when you close the elbow up all the way. So if I'm going to strike at someone with my elbow, I'm really going to try to keep this fully flexed. I'm not going to try to leave it open like this. I'm going to try to pull it all the way in and crack, just like that. So that's how, and the same thing's true with the knee, right? If I have my knee right here, right? You see with my knee, you see how this kneecap is all exposed, but once I close it up, the kneecap goes nicely away. So when I'm kneeing somebody, right? If I knee like that, right, something could happen. But if I close it up, right, just like that. So that's a lot better. Okay, so now let's talk about the fist. Okay, you're probably the main weapon that a lot of people use. Of course, open hand, right? I taught you earlier about. I'm sorry, cannot take your call right now. I'm making a video. Oh, okay. So the thing is that your fist, right? What's the right way to make a fist? Right? There's a lot of different schools of thought. Some people say like this. Some people say like this. Some people say like this. A lot of people say this is wrong because they say that your thumb is vulnerable in this spot. To tell you the truth, there's no right way to make a fist. There is none. Okay? Anybody who says that there's a right way to make a fist, I mean, maybe in their style there's a right way. There's reasons why they make the fist, and that makes sense. Like if you leave the thumb out, like you can use it for trapping, things like that. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna turn the sound off. Okay, that's easy enough. Okay, so the thing is that and some people have it like this. I've never really heard of a good reason for that other than just feels natural. But let's say that you're punching someone, right? And then like I'm like 160 pounds, and if I'm walking into it, right, there's momentum, so we could easily like add another 100 pounds to that if I'm torquing everything right, 250, maybe even 300 pounds of force coming in, right? And even a small like woman can can move a car with punches, like a jab and a cross, just hitting it. If the brakes are off, if the brakes are on, no. But a 1,000-pound vehicle, just by punching, right, she will be able to drive that car back. If it's on wheels. So, and the brakes are off. So the thing is, let's say that there's hundreds of pounds of force, right? 150 pounds of force, whatever. If I hit someone like this, right, and I've done it before, right? Someone's head is down right there, right? And I clocked it, right? Their head's in there, bam, right? So the thing is that you see my thumb right there, right? If my thumb, like this is their head, right? If my thumb comes in and hits their head with 100 pounds of force coming in, that thumb's gonna shave back and pop out of the socket. I've done it before. It doesn't feel good. That's a lot. If I go like this, right, I can hit them, and they'll be moving, right? And sometimes I'm not gonna hit it right, and I just shave them, bam, and my thumb curls back and it's broken. If I try to hide it in here, it's still the supposedly wrong way to do it, as a lot of people have learned, right? It's more protected, kind of, but even then, the force of this can still drive it back. Maybe even this is. I don't punch like this. I just punch like this because it just feels natural, and I just assume I'm not going to screw up, and it's just what I do. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. Sometimes I go like this, but usually I'm just like this. I just want to feel nice and relaxed and go in and just execute what I'm used to. I don't want to start thinking and changing my plan up. When I'm hitting the bag, just like that. You know what I mean? So I don't really like all of a sudden change from what I'm doing. I want everything to just be just like I practiced it. Okay. if you look at anatomy, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of little bones inside of this area, and there's a lot of cartilage that surrounds that bone. So the thing is that when you strike with your fist, it actually is a huge cushion that's actually right there. So a lot of boxers, what they do is they wrap their hands, and actually what happens is that it makes their whole entire limb right here into a solid unit that really is reinforced, coming in to give more damage for the punch. It's not really to protect their knuckles and stuff like that. Really, the gloves are protecting the knuckles. Really, actually what's happening is that the wrap is really protecting the wrist and making it a stronger unit. So you really should be doing a lot of Bruce Lee, you like to do like a lot of these kinds of like exercises, and do a lot of the wrist curls, things like that, to really make sure that this wrist is very strong, so you're transferring power correctly. So that's something that's very important to know about. Okay. Also, the thing is that about the fists, your bone, right, is like a net. There's like these calcium deposits and stuff like that, and there's little spaces in between the bone for blood vessels and things like that to go in. Your bone is not dead tissue. Your bone is living. It can grow, stuff like that. So the thing is that with the bone, right, every time that I hit it, right, it's gonna those little net is gonna compress and compress and get more tighter and tighter, making it so less blood can go through, but it's going to be more dense, so it's going to be harder, right? I've punched a lot of bags and a lot of things over the years, so you can hear the knuckles are pretty hard, just because the bones have been developed, not because a certain amount of mental toughness as well. But so the thing is that you need to condition your arms, you need to condition your forearms, right? There's going to be times, especially your shins. Sometimes when you're kicking against other people that are kicking, your shins clash. And if the person isn't conditioned, it's game over. That's the end. So you need to punch things. You need to punch, and some people go overboard. I've gone overboard with it. I used to punch like, steel bars and stuff like that. And you just break your hand up, and that becomes a point of weakness. Some people think that when you break a bone, it makes it stronger. It's not true. Also, what I used to do is I loved working out, and I would punch things repeatedly. And I don't know if you can see on my fist right there, but okay, you see like how grab this little thing right here. Let me grab it. Okay, on my fist right here, you can see like there's some scar tissue there, right? Because that's like a lot of the hook coming in when I'm practicing my hooks. This little piece would shave off right there, and there's also some scar tissue up here. Whenever I go for extended punching practice sessions, right? Sure, the scar tissue stays together, but the area around the scar tissue is weak, and it always shaves off right there. I can deal with it, but it's just it's a point of weakness, not a point of strength. So also, I broke my collarbone when I was in middle school, I think. So around, that bone area is thicker, but around it, it's going to be a weak area. So, I hope I don't meet with someone and they try to break my collarbone. Now it's a weak area, whatever. But yeah, it's just not the same. So breaking things is bad. So don't go around hitting steel objects and stuff like that. You're not making yourself tougher. Well, you are making yourself a little bit tougher, but it's just not worth it. Practice on heavy bags. There's some striking pads that you can buy at the martial arts stores. Those are decent. And some people like to hit trees. There's some trees that, like the banana trees in the Philippines, are a little bit more cushiony. Don't go and try to hit oak trees and stuff. You're going to damage yourself. So just so you know, okay? Also, a lot of styles teach to use open hand strikes like palms, because they can generate more power and force, because there's not as much bones that it's traveling through getting softened up. One reason why I use a fist versus a palm is that you have like a little bit more range, right? Every inch counts. So the thing about conditioning the palm strikes, though, is, like I said before, I used to punch like steel bars and stuff, trying to make my hand stronger. Maybe I was a little over enthusiastic. I was also over enthusiastic about palm striking, and I would strike walls and all kinds of stuff, and actually I damaged my wrist. So now I'm not completely arthritic, but I do feel sometimes like some pain there, and it's a point of weakness. I think I did fracture something in there. I never went to the hospital for it, but I do feel like when I have like large amounts of impact, like in this kind of emotion, like I did weaken that up. So I would recommend, don't practice, wrist curls, things like that, things that are going to strengthen that wrist area. But don't just go out and start randomly, whapping stuff, especially once your form gets better and you start to generate a lot more power. You're going to hurt yourself. Your forearms, there's certain drills, and I'll go over those in later lessons. The knees, the shins, I already talked about the knees, the shins should be conditioned as well. Your feet, okay, now, let me show you something. Now, in the old days, when they used to kick, right, they would actually tie, like, okay, you see my foot right here? Right, if I come like this, right, that's like called the blade of the foot right there. So the people would kick, let me see, is this over here? Okay, I guess I could kick this and show you. So the thing is that when people would kick, right, they would like point their thing like this, and they kick like that. In the old days, they would tie seashells so you would actually have a real blade there. So right there, you would actually have a real blade, right, coming in. Nowadays, nobody wears blades on their feet, okay? This is like 21st century. I mean, maybe they do in like maybe you're gonna do it, you're crazy. But it normally doesn't happen, okay? So I just recommend hitting with the whole flat of the foot, just like you're trying to kick in a door. You could even practice kicking walls and stuff. You're wearing sneakers and stuff. Don't kick it so hard, but just to get a feeling for it. Otherwise try to kick bags, just like I talked about with the hands. So instead of kicking like, this and pointing it, just come in and just hit with the whole foot, bam, just like you're stomping through. It's real natural, and it's just a much better position of strength, especially wearing sneakers, things like that. You're not going to be cutting anybody with the side of your foot, so just don't do it, okay? There's a lot of, I could talk about, like, there's different, like, snap kicks where people try to hit with the ball of their feet and all this other kinds of business, that does have some validity, so let me get to that, okay? The ball of your foot actually is not going to really be, this is supposed to be the ball of your foot right here, okay? This area right here, okay? So, but the thing is that when you're wearing sneakers and stuff like that, like that's really precise. I would just say, go for the whole thing. This whole area, right? Try to curl your toes back in the shoe, and then just hit with this whole area, bah! And just whap them up. Sorry about the dirty feet, but I like to run around, outside on the grass. I live right by the park, my bare feet. I'm a real country boy, so I like that, So, like for the snap kick, which is, if you're going to hit with that, that's pretty much the only kick where you really would do that. The snap kick, which is like a kick like this, where you come in and just snap it up, right? Or, all my side kicks, thrusting kicks, back kicks, I just hit with the whole entire back kick like this, where I'm coming in, right? And then I just turn around. And you're usually supposed to watch around, so come around and just stomping through with the whole foot, right? I guess, is there any other kick that would really, okay, so then you also have your round kicks. So that's where like you're coming around like this, right? And that's like really used in Muay Thai. So in that case, you can hit with the shin, or it will usually be like this part of the foot right here, which would be over here. You have to be careful with that though, but it's usually a lot better because your feet are inside of sneakers and stuff like that, so it provides a lot of like padding for your foot. So you're a lot less likely to get damaged. But if you're just wearing like sandals or stuff like that, like it's pretty easy to hurt your foot on someone, because these bones right here, they're, unless you condition them real well, even they're small bones and they're pretty easy to fracture. So you don't want to fracture your foot in a fight. That really sucks. Another factor is talking about your body as a weapon, or actually this is kind of like body as a target, but I'm just gonna cover it in this video. So the thing is that a lot of people, they'll break like they'll eat some chicken wings, oh I love chicken wings, right? I'm from Buffalo wings. They'll have these chicken wings at the end, and then they'll break the chicken wings, right? And they'll feel like, oh, I could break someone's fingers that easily. It's pretty easy to break someone's fingers, but it's much harder to break the bone. So the thing is that if I break the chicken wings, right, why isn't it really the same as breaking someone's bone? So I let my clients think about that for a while, and then my answer is this: chickens are birds, and birds have hollow bones because they're really adapted for flight. So breaking a chicken bone is not the same thing as a human bone. Okay, that's one thing. The bones are just less dense, period. even though they may be a similar size. Another issue is that the thing is that the chicken is a very small animal. It's only like maybe 15, 20 pounds max, if you have like a genetically modified chicken, which most of the chickens that we eat are now. So the thing is that it's just not the same at all. It's a very small animal. So usually when I ask that, I say, so what kind of bones should you be breaking to really understand, what it's like to break a human bone? So people immediately think chicken, so a cow? No. Okay, a cow is 1,000-pound animal. It's huge. You don't want to face off against a human that's 1,000 pounds. So if you get a T-bone steak and you're trying to break that bone, you're like, this is really tough, which it is tough. And it's a bone that's more similar to ours in its structure, but it's not the same. So something that's more similar would be like a sheep, which is usually around like maybe 100, 125 pounds, or a pig, which could like go up to 250 pounds. So if you really want to get a good sense of what it's like to break a human leg, go to your butcher and ask them, it might be a little bit expensive, but just buy a whole just buy a whole entire lamb leg and hang it up and, try to kick through it. It'll give you a much more accurate representation of what it's like to actually rip through, or actually break someone's leg, or, or the arm or the finger or whatever, And also the skin, I say the skin of the chicken is like maybe more similar as in terms of strength to a human's, but, once again, a pig or a sheep, a similar sized animal, like I was talking earlier about, like, getting in and ripping ripping through the skin. Try that. Buy a sheep skull. Usually it's just throwaway material at the butcher shop. They might even give it to you for free. Just say, look, and I know it's kind of grisly, but better practice. First of all, you can't be practicing on humans. Even if you could, you're a complete, ass. You're a serial killer or something like that. That's not cool. Don't do that. I say it as a joke, but there's some psychos out there. I have met some of these psychos. Okay, let's just move on. Okay, so yeah, get like a a dead sheep carcass and just drive your thing into the eye and rip it off, and you'll get a real feeling for what it's like to do it to a real life person. Take a sheep. Also the sheep is dead, so the muscle won't be as contracted. But if you really want to get a feel for what it's like, you have to do that. Okay. Another part about when we're talking about the body as a weapon is that a lot of people have this real misconception that's propagated by movies and things like that. They have this vision of the martial artist as some kind of super ultra calm dude who's just like, passing by, not worrying about anything because they're just so above it all. Okay, that's not true. So like some examples are like maybe like Star Wars. I love Star Wars as fiction. So you're talking about Star Wars, like the light side of the Force, the dark side of the Force. I'm always calm, things like that. But understanding your body as a weapon means really understanding every part of it. So the thing is that when we look at the body as a weapon, you should also understand how your hormones reacting, adrenaline, things like that, right? So once adrenaline starts to kick in, what happens is that blood is rushed to your muscles, blood is rushed away from your skin so you bleed less, and blood is sucked away from your digestive system and other, non-essential fighting, organs. So you should be, people that are, in dangerous situations that are artificially short-circuiting or, bypassing their natural reactions, which would assist them in a fight, that's no good. Now, this was I had this philosophy for a long time, and if you just think about it, it's absolutely true, right? Your heartbeat is starting to increase. This is going to help you fight. This is going to help you survive the situation. It's going to give you more strength, right? But I had this philosophy for a long time. Now I'm 38, and I've made an adjustment to my philosophy in this way. The thing is that what makes man the most dangerous animal on earth? It is the brain, okay? And when you have a lot of adrenaline pumping, blood rushes away from, the parts of the brain that are essential for higher thought. But higher thought is really what makes you the most dangerous animal on earth. So the thing is that you have to be able to control like going into a, like, you could say rage or whatever, or that adrenaline pump. I'm not going to say rage because you don't really want to rage out, but you want, there's something like, sometimes people say hot snap or a cold snap. You can cold snap, you still have like, very calculating going in, but you're also maybe angry, things like that. Bruce Lee said hit with emotional content, but you should control that, uh, try to peak it at a certain time. I know for myself that I don't really hit my adrenaline peak for, quite some time. It's kind of delayed. So sometimes like after, I have like a confrontation, I don't really peak out in my adrenaline until like maybe like even like 10 minutes later. That's really, really late. So sometimes like I'll try to delay the fight until I can like, achieve my maximum adrenaline pump. Or what I can do is that I've trained myself to really like ramp up quick. My style is to be the aggressor and to dictate the action. So I make sure that I'm ready to go to another level of brutality than they are. So they're there and I'm racing to get to that, to take them to a point of full compliance and to get my body to like the maximum level of, physical ability so I can really, achieve what I want to achieve. So that's just, I think it's really essential to understand that, understand your body and understand how it works to really be a complete, you know, to be completely well-rounded in your self-defense. Also, the last thing I want to talk about is knowledge is a weapon. Okay, knowledge is a weapon. So the thing is that any of these techniques that you're using on someone, once you do that technique, that knowledge has been imprinted on that other person. So remember before I said about like grabbing someone's eyelid or ripping their eye, right? Some people will fight through that pain. They've just they're athletes. They're conditioned to work through pain, and they will even with their eye hanging out, they'll still be fighting you. And the second that you use that on them, they will immediately be trying to use that on you. So you have someone in a hold, you grab them, you grab their eyelid or you grab their throat, they're immediately going to start grabbing for your throat. So you should understand that you should really be I put this stuff out there on the web now, it's everywhere, but you should understand that you should really use these techniques strategically. Don't just use them blindly. If you think that the other person, once you start to engage in this kind of maneuver, you should already, like, by the time you've done that, you should already be engaging in moves that will prevent them from doing the same thing to you. Either taking them all the way to the ground, establishing an arm lock that will allow you to gain control of the whole body, just beating the crap out of them, with like a whole bunch of body strikes, so they're just, can't fight back. Yeah. Alright, so that's the body as a weapon. Any question, comments, put them below. Of course, I want you to like and subscribe the video. And share your own body as a target ideas. I will be covering more things like elbows and stuff like that in the, when I talk about trapping and stuff like that. But I just, like in terms of twerking it out and going for arm bars and stuff. But I don't really like to teach that in the beginning because I just don't think it's kind of situational. So, just in terms of, I just like to teach high yield targets right away. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good one.